London, one of the world's greatest cities, a buzzing metropolis with a huge appetite for energy. So how could a city like this significantly cut its carbon footprint? The debate over that question is underway on the COMMENTVISIONS website. And we've brought together 3 experts in 3 areas: energy sources, transport and buildings, to hear their views. First off, how to generate clean heat and power. You look at a city like London, 7.5 million people. This is literally guzzling power every second, every minute. Is there any way that we could ever supply the energy needs of a city like this with renewable energy sources?
Well, it would be very difficult to provide all of the energy needs within the curtilage of the sort of M25 sort of corridor because of the sheer high density of population and intensity of energy use in a big city like London. There's limited potential for solar photovoltaics, that's electricity from the sun, particularly in the suburbs of London where there are lots of south-facing roofs. But certainly if you adopted a solution involving lots of combined heat and power plants that generate electricity and heat simultaneously, they might initially be fossil-fueled as they are at the moment, but then gradually they can shift over to using biofuels, so that's one solution.
So, cities could find cleaner sources of energy, but what about the way they use it? As our online poll shows, many experts believe the transport sector will be one of the toughest to decarbonise. Stephen Potter argues the road ahead lies through the electric socket. When it comes to transport, there are a lot of possibilities. We've got biofuels, there's hydrogen, there's electrification in cars like this. Why is it that you think electrification in this sort of way is the right way forward?
Well, the reason why electrification is probably the right way forward is it's very flexible. You can get your electricity from a variety of cleaner fuels in the first instance. But more to the point, you can clean up diesel and petrol cars, and you can probably, and there's been amazing improvements over the last 10-15 years. But there is the potential to totally decarbonise electricity, and there just isn't that potential for petrol and diesel cars.
You believe that the line between public transport and private transport is going to become blurred as we move towards this low-carbon model. Can you explain that?
OK. The conventional split between public and private transport is very ingrained in people's minds, very ingrained in our behaviour and the way that we do things. New electric vehicles perhaps are more appropriately provided as a leasing model, where you lease them, and that offers up the possibility of different sort of so-called ownership packages. Or you might have rental packages where you have a car for use in the week and a larger car at weekends, and a deal whereby you can get a van if you're going to be doing some DIY work or got a load of stuff to take down to the dump at the weekend. You could have different models of owning, and that sort of blurs the distinction between private and public transport.
Transport may be driving towards a low-carbon future, but can the same be said for buildings? Professor Tony Day studies efficient and renewable energy systems. The London rooftop of his research centre is a testbed for new technologies. What's the single biggest obstacle to reducing energy consumption in the city environment?
The biggest single obstacle, I think there are three obstacles. The first is cost, because to get the energy consumption down in old buildings that perform poorly requires expensive retrofit, potentially expensive retrofit. So that cost puts off people from doing that work. The second is, do we have the skills to design and install and then maintain low-carbon technologies and do it correctly and effectively? And the third is the way that people operate in buildings and behave in buildings.
What's your view for the next 10 years? What kind of changes do you think are going to be happening in terms of energy consumption, in terms of energy efficiency in the city environment like London?
I think we're going to see a lot more embedded generation, that's energy generation within the city as opposed to generating outside and on the grid and bringing it into the city. So that's combined heat and power, district heating networks, embedded renewable energy systems like photovoltaic, solar thermal, ground source heat pumps and the like.
Clean energy, low-carbon transport and efficient buildings are key elements in sustainable cities. The debate over how to reach those goals continues online, with experts and industry leaders giving their views. Join them at COMMENTVISIONS.com.